then for recreational services that'll be done as the library closure comes forward here now, the pool closure that more than likely I anticipate that they'll probably make that decision as a board on Thursday. The assumptions we talked about, canceling recreation programs and events that bring together congregations till 8/1, the attorney cancellations that we anticipate through Green Valley through 8/1. The Citizens Police Academy isn't going forward this year. The
Your Honor?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I missed who raised their hand. Was that Alderman Nguyen?
Alderman Nguyen, yeah. JD, back to the slide before, are you saying that the library board is intending to have the library closed longer than what the governor's mandate is for it to be closed?
I'm not sure. The conversations they had today said they're going to meet every week and they're going to talk about their timing to reopen, and the word they used was a soft opening. Like maybe they wouldn't open with full people, depending on what kind of restrictions come out, if any restrictions come out on a new order.
And the library board is able to do what the library board wants to do, but from my standpoint, I think that as soon as the governor allows that to start to be open, that we should find a way to open it. Now, it may need to ramp up and it may not be fully staffed to 100% depending on how that comes down from the governor. But I think that is something from my standpoint we should be as one of our goals.
How do we communicate something like that to the library board? Is that like a council communication direct to their board? Do you want me to, is that the consensus of the council? Alderman Walker, are there any dissenting thoughts on that idea, opening the library as soon as we're allowed to open it? Alderman Moyer?
I think we have to, but clearly the board's gonna have to be concerned about group activities, right?
Yeah, I feel like it would be more of a soft opening, but I'm expecting them to open it again, and so I don't know if they are misunderstanding by this consideration, JD, that somehow the council is asking them to consider to close the library in an extended time frame. Is that, what are these considerations?
I think having this slide up there can completely be misconstrued that we're making some recommendation to close the library. And the only reason that the library is closed, we had even worked with the idea of curbside delivery on things until the governor's proclamation said that it had to be closed. So I think we need to be very careful on just kind of throwing things on a slide like this. And so I would be in favor of directing the mayor to have some communication with the library board that we'd like to see it open, whether that's full staff or not, to figure out how to do that, or with social distancing or limited number of people in the building at the time, but for us to figure out a way to open as soon as the governor allows us to open up.
Is there a second? Alderman Parker.
I'll second that, but then I have a conversation to it.
Okay, go ahead, Alderman Parker. We have a second by Alderman.
I totally agree, but I want to be sure that JD, with this library closure, are we, we're asking them that, we're not asking, we're telling them they're not going to receive that $414,000 that they were expecting from us. Are they going to be able to open the library without, in the absence of that funding that they were anticipating and budget time last year?
So with Brian on here, I think if you want him to talk about, some of the, some of the considerations that he's going to share with his library board, he could probably do that. But I know just overhearing some of the conversations that, for them to overcome their budget shortfalls, you saw it actually is closer to $508,000 that they anticipate. He talked about quite a few different things, and it may require, when they open, to have limited hours similar to what their old summer hours were. and that at different times when they used to do different hours in the summer and that, but he could probably talk in more detail if you want to drill down into that.
Brian?
Yes, yes, thank you. There's no doubt in my mind that the library board is on the same page, is what I'm hearing from the council right now. I think they have the same desires as to be able to open, as quickly as we can after COVID, as long as conditions are safe in the library.
Thank you, Brian. Well, I think that it would be fine then for the council to concur, just so there's not any misunderstanding. Is there anyone else that wants to make a comment before we have a vote? Alderman Waldron?
Brian, the library could go to reduced hours. Couldn't conversely it also go to reduced staff? Just do its core essential items and keep their normal hours? As an example, obviously getting books in and out, books out, but do we need to do all the functions of the library? Can it be an either or?
To be honest with you, that's something that we're working on right now. Is we're working on a plan, and this is what we'll be doing in our weekly meetings, is figuring out a plan so that we can do that, offer as many services as we can. But it could certainly be a combination of maybe a lesser staff to begin with, and yes, certainly just those core services of materials and information.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Are there any other comments before we take a vote? All those in favor, please communicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. And just for clarification, it will just be just kind of a communication of what the sentiment was. We do not have the authority to direct the library board on what they do in this situation. Thank you, JD. We can go on to the next slide now. Thank you. From this conversation, but I do want to understand something that I had heard that one of our roofs had a leak. Does that come out of a separate budget because there's the enterprise fund for building maintenance, or does that come out of that individual building ownership of the department budget?
Could you tell me which building it was?
The library.
Okay, so the library is in our facilities management plan, so that's one of the ones we're talking about. That roof, I told him today it's probably 5 windstorms away from a serious event with the roof. And so we've been, working, Sarah and I have been working for the last 3 years to build reserves in that fund, because we know that roof is not gonna, it's not gonna have a useful life much longer. So we've got money in reserves to move that project forward.
So just clarification, that is not impacted by the $414,000. That maintenance of that roof is taken from a different budget.
It's
Is
taken
that
from
correct?
that facilities management budget
Facilities
that we're gonna
management
take
budget.
that money out of.
And it's also still in the budget for this year from what they're proposing.
Okay, and so the library had previously invested in that roof replacement through that funding mechanism, and that'll be addressed in a different way.
Yeah, technically Fleet did.
Yes,
That's
and
the
we'll
one that
actually be
Foster-
coming.
That's the fund that we built, Fleet reserves, when we spent them down, but yeah, technically it was for that roof.
Perfect, thank you. I just want to make sure that that roof was safe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then